As promised, I'm going to give you a little how-to instructional video about preliminary reading. This is the graphic I've included in the module, and it pretty clearly lets you know why we're going to be doing this activity. Now that you have a topic or maybe a couple of topics you're thinking about exploring for the literature review, it's time to develop those topics. And preliminary reading is what we're going to do to both evaluate to make sure the topic's interesting, that the reading is relevant and engaging, and that there are enough sources. And we're going to start seeing how other researchers and writers engage with our topics, what the major issues are, so ultimately we can figure out which specific aspect appeals to us. And that's going to help us create a personally meaningful research statement and a personally meaningful topic. So I'm going to start my preliminary reading where a lot of us start our learning about stuff, which is just on the web. And you can see I've already done this search. So are social media friends real friends is the question I think I want to explore for this class. So what a quick Google search does for me is, well, first of all, it tells me there are, over 3 billion sites about this topic. So that sets my mind at ease about some quantity questions. And it also just gives me some basic good articles to start looking at to see how people are exploring this topic. So this first article that comes up, Are Social Media Friends Your Real Friends, looks to be kind of a blog, right? It looks like there's this guy who's a writer of words, a maker of music, an eater of chocolate. So right away, I'm going to tell you, this is not going to be a source I'm going to use on an academic bibliography, because I don't think being an eater of chocolate gives you authority on social media friendships. But my point right now is just, again, to start developing my topic. And so I can look at this article and see that this dude starts by, talking about what friends are. And he talks about things like understanding and caring and mutual support and a core connection. He also talks about the differences, things that we miss out on with online friendships, like body language and eye contact and human touch. And he talks about becoming online friends and translating those online friendships into real life friendships. Anyway, it's an interesting article, and it starts giving me ideas, right? For one thing, it makes me realize that if I'm going to write this paper, first thing I need to do is define friendship. That might be a good thing to do in my introduction. What does it actually mean to be a friend? And can those characteristics of friendship manifest themselves in an online environment? So that was just the first article. And there was another really interesting article from Forbes magazine. This was a pretty negative article, right? Most of your Facebook friends are not your real friends. But the reason I liked it was because it linked me to a couple of interesting sources. It linked me to a study done at Oxford University, which is a scholarly source. And this could be something I could definitely use in my paper, right? And this is the study right here, and I can read through it. One of the cool things this study has, I'm going to try to get this bigger here, are some keywords: network size, social networking sites, social brain hypotheses, egocentric networks. This is a scholarly vocabulary that I don't possess, but it's good for me to know that, hey, this is how the experts, this is how the scholars speak. And so when I go onto the databases later in the semester to find more scholarly research on this, you can bet your butt I'm going to be writing these down so I have this vocabulary. So that's another cool really outcome of preliminary reading, is it helps you get ideas, right? Like, hey, I need to define friendship. It helps you sometimes find good sources, like here's a scholarly journal article. And very importantly, it helps me identify search terms, because as you're going to learn, research is a lot about typing your terms into boxes. So having good terms is essential. This article also included a link to a TED Talk, which, I'm very fond of TED Talks, so that might be something I would want to watch later too. And the final source I found on this, I mean, you can see there's a ton here, but I'm really fond of Pew Research. Remember, Pew is where we took our political bias quiz. They're just such a great research organization, and they have a great online book essentially on teens, technology, and friendships, with a whole chapter on social media and friendships. And this talked about some of the real positive things about social media friendships and how teenagers feel like it really improves existing face-to-face friendships. It keeps them better connected and in the loop. And that might actually be a whole new topic for me. I think I could do a really strong literature review just on how social media friendships affect real life friendships. Lots of ideas here just from a Google search. And then, of course, let me point out for my people who like videos, if you're not a big into reading person, there's plenty of videos here on these same topics, okay? So again, I want you to really think about how just a simple Google search helps me evaluate my interest in my topic. It helps me gauge whether the material is relevant to me and fun to read, if it's going to be an interesting project for me. And it starts giving me ideas how other people are focusing their research. And some of those ideas are online friendships are not real friendships, online friendships are real friendships, and how online friendships enhance face-to-face friendships. There's 3 ways I could refine this topic right there. I'm going to also show you how to come to MJC, right? Click on the library, because I think it's important you also run your topic or potential topics through a few of our articles and research databases. When we're talking about how preliminary reading lets us know if there are enough sources, web sources on their own aren't enough, because potentially a lot of things we find on the web are not suitable for inclusion on an academic bibliography. So it's also important to run topics through some of our databases. So we're going to spend time later learning how to search these databases and do some research just on these databases, but I want to get you into them now, right? Just so you can run your topics through them. I clicked on Gale eBooks here, and I should point out that when you from home click on Gale eBooks, you will first be asked to include to provide your W number and 6-digit birth date. So you know what I'm doing here, because I got the idea from that first website I looked at, is I think it's important, if I'm going to answer the question, are social media friendships real friendships? I need to know what the hell a friendship is. I mean, I know how I feel about my friends, but how do experts and scholars and researchers define friendship? So I've got articles here from, encyclopedias of philosophy, encyclopedias of human behavior, encyclopedias of marriage and family, right? Like lots of options here. I liked a couple of these. I liked this one just because it began with friendship is a relationship with broad, ambiguous, and ever-shifting boundaries, right? The terms friend and friendship means different things to different people and different things to the same people at different times. And I think that's really important for an introduction to this topic, because it's, let's note that it's really hard to define what a friend is. And so this has definitions and characteristics and benefits of friendships, right? It's really interesting. The other article that I liked here was this from Youth Cultures in America. And this had, again, a nice definition of friendship. it talked about friendship through the lifespan. And then right here, different forms of friendship, starting with in the 21st century digital age. So really useful stuff here. Okay. These articles, by the way, can be sent to your Google Drive, your Microsoft OneDrive. They can be emailed, downloaded, printed, and eventually, if you decide to use them, they will cite themselves in MLA format. So they're pretty nifty. So Gale eBooks, a great place for just basic, essentially it's a collection of encyclopedias. So if you like the topic overviews like you find in Wikipedia, chances are you'll like Gale eBooks. Now, it's going to be really important for you guys to run your topics through EBSCO and Gale, or at least one of them. EBSCO and Gale are our big Superstore databases, and again, we're going to have plenty of time. There's my phone. Okay, just booted me out, but I'm going to keep going. Friendship and social media. The reason I want you to search EBSCOhost databases and Gale databases is because they both allow you to limit your search to scholarly peer-reviewed journals, which you are not, let me repeat that, you're not going to want to do that at the beginning of your research as you're learning about your topics. But again, part of the process of preliminary reading is, or part of the purpose of preliminary reading is to let us know, hey, are there going to be plenty of sources? More importantly, the types of sources my professor wants. My professor wants me to have at least 6 peer-reviewed journals. So are there 6? And in fact, yeah, there's almost 8,000 full-text articles on EBSCO about social media and friendships, right? So these are great articles. And this will be a nice place for just to set your mind at ease that yes, there's going to be plenty of scholarly material. Now, to be honest, that's not what I'm going to look at first. I want to check to make sure I find lots of scholarly stuff. But if I'm just looking for ideas, again, looking to see how other researchers and writers are talking about my topic, I might just start with magazines, right? Emotional closeness across the net. Social media, making sense of digital friendship. Is technology killing our friendships, right? These are articles that I can understand, right? They're aimed at a non-expert readership, and I'm a very much a non-expert reader here. So this is a nice little article, and again, if it's something I want to hold on to, I can send it to Google Drive and I can print it, email it, save it, and all these articles cite themselves. And then the other database to finish up that you might want to look at just because it has peer-reviewed journals is, let's do friendship and social media. Gale's a little trickier to search. I like that it actually separates out magazines, books, and newspapers, right? So I might just, again, come right to academic journals and say, hey, are there peer-reviewed journals available on this, right? And as it turns out, yes, there are. There's 73 peer-reviewed academic journals. So again, the point here is to set my mind at ease when I'm evaluating my sources. Are there going to be enough of the sources of the type that Kathleen wants? Sorry, my very loud family is in there, so I'm going to end this now. But that's kind of what I want you to do. I want you to take one or more of your topics. I want you to do a little preliminary reading on Google, find some good websites, find some good videos, make sure that your topic is interesting to you, start getting an idea of ways you can refine your topic and focus it. And then I definitely want you to run your topic at least through EBSCO and Gale to get an idea that to make sure there's enough scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles. And then Gale eBooks, honestly, is just a personal favorite of mine, and it's going to be really good for introductory information. I'm going to ask you to report on this in your discussion. So I'm going to create your discussion post next and a little assignment to go along with this. But I just want you to know that this is such a essential part of research, and I never want you to have to choose a topic without doing a little preliminary reading. So if it seems clunky to you now, I promise it will get easier, okay? It really will. And remember, for the quiz, why do you do preliminary reading? To evaluate your topic. Is it going to hold your attention? Is the reading relevant and engaging? Are there enough appropriate sources? And also to refine, focus, or narrow your topic. How are other researchers and writers engaging with them? What are the major issues? And most importantly, what specific aspects appeals to you?